This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City looks for their first road win of the season against the New England Revolution. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
And dang straight, here we are at Gillette Stadium, which is in Foxboro, Massachusetts, which on the way over we determined, based on the signs on the courthouse and things like that, that Foxboro is not spelled Foxboro. That's the easy way out. It's an O-U-G-H at the end. So in case you care about those things, Matty Lawrence, that is the way it is, you know?
I care a great deal about that, Glenn, I must admit, yeah.
Well, and that's me.
That's
so here, hey, look, here's another angle of Matty. This is a real production here.
That size.
So this is. Let's go. If we go over Matty's shoulder, this is our sight lines today, and if you look over here, you get the impression of the Bob Artugian and the feedback that we're getting right now. So we'll see what we can do about correcting that. Live. That's going to do it. All right. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to see the stadium, Gillette. And it's the hated one for me since I'm a Jets fan. And, I think of this as more the New England Patriots. But we are here for soccer tonight. And it's certainly a huge match for New York City FC. In as much as they have struggled on the road this year. So 2-0 at home at Yankee Stadium. And on the road, it's just 2 losses and 1 draw. 1 goal scored in the 3. And here at Gillette, where New England, first place of the Eastern Conference, 4-1. New York City, 7th place, 2-2-1. New England doesn't concede much here. And they have a tendency to do well against New York City. New York City, 1 win in their last 9 trips here to Gillette. And that includes the Eastern Conference semifinal 2021. That did end in a draw, and it went to penalties. So we don't call that a win on the ledger, but they advanced and were victorious in that manner. But so this is something's got to give here, Matty.
Yeah, look, this is Fortress Gillette Stadium for the New England Revolution, the same as Yankee Stadium is for NYCFC. Look, you said they don't concede much. They don't concede many, rather. They haven't conceded any this season. Yes, they've only played 2 games here, but they've won both of them 2-0. They've won 3-0 and won 1-0. So they are absolutely victorious, and they're good defensively as well. Look, they had a dreadful 2022 after a wonderful 2021. Even though they didn't win MLS Cup, they won the Supporters' Shield. But in 2022, they were 31 points worse off in 2022 to how they were in 2021. So I don't think there's anything wrong in saying it was a disastrous season for them last season, but they seem to have turned things around this season. Yes, 25 games in, but they've won 4 and only lost 1. So they're a decent side. They got battered by LAFC away from home, as so many teams do in MLS, especially when you go to LAFC. So they conceded 4 goals in that game, but they've kept 3 clean sheets out of 5. They're a good team defensively, and they're a good team offensively as well.
All right, let's get to the big news here as we were waiting for it to be officially announced by the club. But starting at striker today, the number 9 is Gabe Siegel. So here's a guy that, and we heard Nick Cushing a couple of weeks ago say, don't be surprised if you see him in the lineup at some point, because he is a somewhat of the forgotten guy. He was claimed off of waivers by New York City FC after first playing with the DC United Academy, Loudoun United, Stanford University, the second team in Cologne, Germany, and now here at New York City FC, where when he was signed, the indication was more he would spend a lot of time with New York City FC too. Well, because of the fact that New York City does not have a pure striker, they've been using Tylus Magno in that position. Siegel has been performing well in training.
Yes.
I ran into him in the hotel this morning, and he's very excited, obviously, about his opportunity. He's 21 years old, and you talk about an unknown. I mean, I think people around the league, when they open up the starting 11 for New York City, are going to wonder, who's Gabe Siegel? And we don't really know that much about him in terms of anything we could dig out of video. We are going to show a goal he scored at college. But what are your thoughts?
Look, I've watched a lot of the college goals that he scored, but that's it. And let's be honest, college is a decent standard, but it's only a decent standard. It's not a great standard. I don't think we can compare it in any way to MLS. But from what I've seen, he's a proper number 9. He's a true number 9, which is what NYCFC need. The Titus Magno experiment hasn't worked. He may not have said it orally, but certainly his body language has told me all season he doesn't want to be playing there. Hasn't worked at all. So Seagal is somebody who is a real.
He did say
project.
Also that most people butcher his name, but
exactly,
and say Seagal. It's
seagull,
as in the bird. He said it's seagull, as in the bird. And the one thing, a few things stood out from what he said to me this morning, and one of the things I said, well, tell me a little bit about your qualities. What are we going to see? Yeah. He said he's good with his back to the goal. He's good at hold-up play, and that's maybe the number one thing that New York City has lacked with Magno is that proper hold-up play to be able to bring in your teammates. And he also mentioned when he trains with Santi Rodriguez, he gets quite excited.
Yeah, look, I think anybody would like to train with Santi Rodriguez, that's for sure. In little five-a-side, in small-sided games, he'll be absolutely dynamite. I know that. Seagull is an out-and-out number 9. He's good with his back to goal, as you said, but also he's a goal poacher. He's absolutely what you want. If you go on YouTube and look at any of his highlights, any of his goals, so many of them are scored within the penalty area, and an awful lot of them are scored within the 6-yard box, Glenn. So it's exactly what NYCFC want. Is he up to this standard? Who knows? But you have to give anybody the time to grow into this level.
Here's one of the goals. This is UCLA against Stanford. He played at Stanford for 3 years. He's got enough pace to get behind the defense and then just slots it home. That's a professional finish there.
Absolutely, and that's a goal within the 18-yard box as well. As you say, showed good pace to get him behind. It's a UCLA back line. Who knows how quick that guy was? It looked like he was pulling a fridge. Maybe he's quicker than that. Who knows? But Seagull
UCLA usually have good athletes in the back.
Yes, of course they do. Look, and I've been a little flippant, but other goals that you see, he's getting on the end of crosses, fizzed across the 6-yard box, and he is an out-and-out goal scorer. Look, and if he can play with his back to goal, that's what you need. Of course, goals you need from a number 9, but first and foremost, you want them to be able to hold the ball up and to bring Santi Rodriguez or bring whoever else is playing around him, Titus Magno, or if Keaton Parks gets up there alongside him. You've got, for me, his first few times he touches the ball, it's got to be 2-touch. Chest it down, lay it off. Control it with your right, lay it off with your left, and just keep control of the ball, keep possession of the ball for the team. That is absolutely imperative for me in his first 3, 4, 5 touches of the ball.
Yeah, and that's part of controlling the game that Nick Cushing, the head coach, has been searching for over a 90-minute period in each match. And I think it's safe to say that New York City has not accomplished a full match yet in controlling the game. A little bit more about Gabe. He's 21 years old, Washington, D.C. native, played at the Bethesda Soccer Club before he joined D.C. United. And he said one of his really fond moments was he went to preseason with D.C. United, the first team, and that was the year Wayne Rooney came in. He came in the latter part of preseason, but he trained with Wayne Rooney. So I said, well, what was that like? Oh, it was great. But could you pick up anything from him? And the one thing he said is the most astonishing thing is how he struck the ball. Just how he struck the ball, stroking passes, whether it was a shot. And he said it was really enlightening to be in the presence of that in a training environment.
Yeah, look, we've talked about this before. I said any time I played professionally, the higher up you go, the faster the ball is fizzed into you. The better players strike the ball. And look, while we're here, Matt Turner, ex-New England Revolution goalkeeper, certainly has said that time and time again. When he's gone from MLS to training with Arsenal, to training with some of the world's best players, and all of a sudden the ball's fizzed past you. When you're the goalkeeper, that's a problem, and it's already in the back of the net before you almost realise it. You have to acclimatise to the pace with which players strike the ball, or give you the eyes as a goalkeeper. That is something that we know. The higher up you go, the better. And it sounds weird, but surely every professional player can strike the ball well, can strike it hard, but that's not the case. It gets better and better the higher up you go. And for Seagull to be training with Wayne Rooney, That's brilliant. Like one of the world's best. Until very recently, the leading goal scorer for England with 53 goals until Harry Kane just took over from him recently. Right. One of the world's best. So it would have been an absolute highlight for his career so far for Gabe Seagull to be training with him.
And now Rooney's back as a manager trying to turn things around. After DC United, he elected to go to Stanford University. He played there for 3 years, 54 games in all, 14 goals, 5 assists over those 3 years. And then it was on to Cologne in Germany. And he, again, in this, I essentially bumped into him at the hotel, and he was smiling. I knew what the lineup was at that point. I wasn't 100% certain that he did. So I just said, got an interesting day coming up, huh? And then he went all into it. But the experience in Germany, he said, was just fantastic. But he's playing for the 2 team. He really wants first-team minutes. Yes. And now he's here trying to do that. And there's a lot of competition. The talk is before April 24th, there's going to be a new number 9 as part of the program, through the transfer market. So if that occurs, then there's even more of a challenge for him. Yes. But it's a great opportunity. And honestly, if he has a performance tonight, which leads to him getting another opportunity against Atlanta on the weekend at Yankee Stadium, and he does well there, if a new number 9 comes in, it's going to take a little time to integrate that player, whoever it might be, if it does consummate. So this is rather huge in his career. Yeah, it is. So, any minute that you're in the starting lineup, it's your shirt. It's your shirt to lose. You perform well, and you're going to be in this team the next week more often than not. I would say nine times out of 10, you're going to be in the team again. But let's not forget, this is his first game of MLS football. This is his first game of first-team football anywhere outside of the college system, which I played in that college system. And he gets to play on the turf.
And you get to play at this wonderful American football stadium. But look, you said it. As long as he plays with a smile on his face, as long as he enjoys it, and ultimately, all you can do is go out and do your best. And it's your first game. It takes a while to integrate into professional football, full stop. Yes, he had a little sniff of it at Cologne, but as you say, that was with Cologne too. Reserve team football is not first team football. That's obvious. I think we all know that. He goes out here today and does a job. And I said to you off air, doing a job for me isn't scoring goals. Doing a job for me is holding up the ball, is keeping possession of the ball. Because it's something that, whether it be Tyler Magno, Santi Rodriguez or Thiago, none of those guys really managed it playing as a number 9. And yes, you said there's a lot of competition here. Right now, there's no competition whatsoever in the number 9 role because there's only one of them. Nobody else can play as a number 9, and it's blatantly apparent. As I said, Tyler Magno doesn't want to play there. Santi Rodriguez doesn't. And Thiago is much more of an out-and-out winger. So it's Gabe Seagull's shirt to lose, and that is factual.
Well, one thing we should note is Thiago Andrade is not in the squad, and he was not on the charter, and so is not here at Foxboro. So he will not be available tonight in terms of wing play. Tyler Magno moving out to the left, which many of us, certainly a majority of those who have observed, believe that that's his best spot.
It is his best spot, and it's also obviously where he performs best, where he wants to play. He'll be happier there, but now he has to prove it, doesn't he? He has to go out and have a good game. And look, Tyler Magno has the potential to be the best winger in this league. That again, that's factual. That is not up for argument. He has got such wonderful natural ability, but now he needs to harness it, and now we need to see it over a bunch of games. We saw it in fits and starts last season. We haven't seen it at all this season because he's not really been playing where he wants to play. Now it's up to him again. He's got the shirt. As a left winger, as a left attacker, whatever you want to call it, go out there and prove that you have that potential to be one of the best, if not the best wingers in MLS football.
And he's playing his 50th regular season game here tonight, starting on the left. 10 goals, 10 assists in his career, Tyler Magno. So about the attack, last week in Houston, 1-0 loss, one shot on target, and that didn't come until the 91st minute, and it was Tavon Gray on the second phase of a corner kick where the ball was cleared out, and then he took a solid shot, and the save had to be made. But that was it for New York City. So I sat with Nick Cushing as part of our pregame show, which is coming up at 7:15 Eastern on the New York City FC Network. And he described rather thoroughly, Matty, I want you to listen to this, what some of the issues were.
We get to places where Houston are really disorganized because they're trying to go man-to-man and they're trying to stop us from switching the play. And when Tellers drops in and the central defender comes with him, the wingers have to run. We just put the ball in behind. Or when Tellers drops in, the opposite offensive midfielder has to run. Because ultimately, if we don't stretch the back line, we don't get spaces in front. And if we don't attack space, we're never going to get in behind and onto the goal. And then you've got the other side of it is when we get the ball wide, you have to attack the space in the box. And if we don't do that, we don't either cross the ball or we cross to nobody. And if you don't attack space or you don't attack crosses, you're not going to put the ball on frame.
And so when you say attack space, it's on the dribble, but maybe even more so off the ball.
Yeah, it's like when the ball goes to fullback, the wingers have to attack the corridor. When the ball goes into whenever our 6 gets faced up, somebody should be attacking the space, whether it's a winger attacking inside, whether it's the 9 on the opposite centre half attacking, whether it's a 9 coming to feet and the midfield player running. If we don't run in behind the back line, we never really become a threat to the opposition.
So I think we've described both those scenarios and the lack of attacking space, that is penetrating. And those are runs off the ball. He was specifically referring to some of the off-the-ball movement and recognizing that. And I would say the terminology I used as a coach was no pressure on the ball, runs in behind. And there's different ways to get in behind, but that's what you have to look for.
Yeah, look, as you're saying, if there's pressure on the ball, that means the person in possession is having to have their head down, so they can't look up and see that space in behind. So then it's all about making angles for the person in possession. But as no pressure on that ball. The player, James Sands, Keaton Parks, has that ability to pick their head up and see those spaces in behind. But look, I think we all know that in the attacking sense, it was a poor performance against Houston. For there only to be one shot on target in 90 minutes, and that to fall to Tavon Gray more through luck than judgment. It was a second ball, as you say, second phase from a corner kick in the last minute of play. That's not good enough. And every point that Nick Cushing highlighted there is obviously wrong. He's the head coach. He knows exactly what he wants from his players, and what he's saying is he wasn't getting it. They would have laid out a game plan before the game between him and Daniel Bradley and the other coaching staff, Everson, etc. But they didn't get it. And we bumped into him in the hotel after the game, and he was quite obviously not happy with the performance, and rightly so. Houston are a very good side. They've proven that over the last few years. And they're now trying to grow into a new coach in Ben Olsen. And it wasn't particularly pretty, the game as a whole, was it? And it was a shame. But again, you need to have good possession of the ball before you can make those runs in behind. And we focused on the crosses at the end of the game. Only 9.1% of crosses,
and that was part
successful.
of his comment. Not getting, you're right. So it's two things: either proper delivery or no one in the area, or one person in the area.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was both. Quite often in the same instance, it was both. The cross hit the first man, and also the person not only hit the first man, but there was one person in the penalty area, and quite often that was somebody who doesn't really want to head the ball either. You need those midfield runners. It needs to be Frank Lampard-esque, those type of guys, and Tim Cahill at New York Red Bulls, those guys coming late into the penalty area. Keaton Parks and Alfredo Morales, not very often did they get over the halfway line, let alone into the final third of the field. So there was a bunch of problems throughout that game against Houston, which I think is highly evident for anybody who watched that 90 minutes.
Well, the one thing about New England that is so impressive, and there's really no secret to their attacking hopes, and that is to get it wide at some point to their fullbacks. DeJuan Jones on the left, Brandon Bai on the right. Each had 7 assists last year, and they provide a lot of service, and that's the biggest challenge for New York City. Tonight, Maxime Chenot back from international duty, and if you had to point to one quality that excels in Maxime Chenot, it's defensive clearances with his head, right?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's stop the cross, isn't it? As you said, get pressure on the ball, stop the cross into the penalty area, and then if the cross is going to come in, you make sure somebody's attacking that near post area. That's quite often, obviously, if the cross is coming in from the right-hand side, from New England's point of view, it's Maxime Chenot. He's there in the near post area. On the other side, left-hand side, obviously, it's Thiago Martins. First and foremost, though, Kufray and Ilinic, can you stop the cross? And you have to stop the cross. If your life depends on it, can you stop that cross? Can you sprint out there and stop the opposition player delivering quality into the box? And that is absolutely imperative. First and foremost, that's one thing. The other, of course, stop Carlos Eon.
Yes, and he'll be starting for New England at the point of a diamond midfield is what it looks like out of a 4-4-2. And they're starting a pair of teenagers on either side of the midfield. So a number of young players trying to make their mark. But the biggest one for New York City FC tonight is this guy, Gabe Segal. He's making his MLS debut, his New York City FC debut. And it's a huge night for him. It's a huge night for the club as they search for a number 9 who can really be someone in that pure role that does all the number 9 things. Back to goal, run the channels, poach, whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's can the number 9 play like a number 9? That's exactly what is required. And as you say, hold the ball up, score goals. Simple.
Very simple. Matty Lawrence there. I'm Glenn Crooks, and we're part of the New York City FC Network. Live radio commentary, and it's coming up at 7:15 Eastern with a pregame show, the full interview with Nick Cushing presented by Ford, and then our live commentary of every moment of this match. Chris Sakonis also with us on the broadcast. He'll be with us at halftime, and he's also providing the highlights of the game. Follow that at my Twitter at Glenn Crooks. So for Matty, I'm Glenn. Enjoy the game, everybody.